Hello there, and welcome to Thank the Maker, a podcast about heroes, princesses, scoundrels, hokey religions, ancient weapons, and all things Star Wars. I'm Adam Russell.
I remembered to unmute my mic, and I'm Ryan Key.
Nailed it.
I never forget to unmute my mic with Mike Forrester. Hey, what's up, dudes? We made it to 2024, just like I said we would. And we have new Star Wars.
We're over 200 episodes from this little gig that Adam and I started in my dad's office in his house. When I was visiting. Well, when was episode 1? When did we record it? I think I was there for Christmas, right?
We recorded it we recorded in 2019.
Yeah, I was there for Christmas 2019 at my parents' house, and I set up my laptop and like a flashlight in my dad's office, and we recorded the first episode.
It only took a year to put it out, you know.
It's crazy.
Like 3 re-recordings, yeah.
That we're still doing it. I'm very proud of us, even though I'm the weakest link in the group. I know I'm never here, but you know, I love you guys and Happy New Year. And this is amazing that we're still keeping this dream alive.
Love you, bud. We're making moves. There's some big stuff coming in just a couple months, probably.
Yeah, there is.
We've moved to YouTube. You know, we're like 40 episodes into YouTube, I think, almost. So we're doing stuff. We got a bunch of ideas, got a bunch of things on the horizon.
Love it.
It's good stuff. All right, we are limited severely with time. Ryan has offspring. I'm leaving for a tour in like 36 hours. Not the band. So we're going to talk about some Star Wars news. Some awesome things dropped just yesterday at the time of this recording, so on New Year's Day. And it, you know, it's on the surface like, okay. But there's some stuff to be inferred, and there's some interesting things about streaming numbers and stuff. So we're going to get into all that. And if you have any questions or if you have any insights or anything, hit us with a super chat. Patrons, of course, are in the Discord stream chat. So let's get right into it. Did you guys see well, there were two things. One, Netflix dropped because of it's per like DGA and Writers Guild new stuff in the new agreement about paying more for more streams. You know, paying actors and writers more.
Sure.
I don't know specifics on this. So Netflix dropped like all of their data. And then some other streaming data came out from Whip Media, which is essentially like the the equivalent of what's the old TV one, Nielsen. You know, it's kind of like the streaming era version of that. They use something called the TV time tracking app. So this is it's a subset. You know, it's just like it's a sample of the larger U.S. streaming data, and The Mandalorian. Again, this is U.S. streaming data. The Mandalorian was the #1 most watched original series in the U.S. in 2023. Mandalorian Season 3.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And so validating for what we nerds get together once a week to do here on Thank the Maker.
Yeah.
It really is, man.
Yeah.
There's so much content in the world right now. There's so many things to choose from. You know, I've been saying this for years about music. I don't even, it's not even a negative thing. It's like more of an existential question of like, how can you be expected as a fan, especially a young fan of music, to pay attention to anything for more than 3 minutes?
Yeah.
You know, we're dealing right now in pop music with how to write a song because I'm not going to have to deal with this personally. Probably Adam, you're not going to have to, but young artists are having to deal with this where A&R guys and labels, people like they're A&R men and women, I should say. And you know, the old, we always say the A&R guy. That's really dated, and I apologize. But you know, they're telling artists to put the chorus of the song at the beginning because that's how it's going to get on TikTok and no one's going to pay attention. If there's no words right at the beginning of the song, there's no words there. If there's no words, no one's going to get it. And so I've been saying for a long time, like, how is this even possible to overcome? And I don't know that I have an answer for it because it is so oversaturated due to streaming. So the point of this rant, for an offshoot storyline born of a character that had 40 seconds of screen time to be the #1 most streamed program, as my grandma called her shows, on TV. I mean, it's all TV now, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you're actually watching it on a TV. We still call it it's on TV.
Right.
That is wild, man. And I am so proud to be a part of this fandom, and especially to be a part of this fandom in the way that we are, where we celebrate this new content. We celebrate these actors and writers and directors who are creating all of this new, incredible Star Wars for ourselves and Mike, our kids,
Yep.
like just creating a story that is going to live on for ages. And the Mandalorian that takes the top spot, first on the grid, winner at Monaco. It's just crazy.
Let's go.
Crazy.
What's
So
interesting about it, we look at we're looking at the Whip Media put out this graphic that basically goes all the way up to 20, right? And you look at some of the other shows that are on here, and you've got Loki in second place. You've got Lasso in third place, which was probably, in terms of like cultural relevance, I'm sure there was a lot of people that watched that from overseas. It's a show based in the UK. So there's there's probably something that plays a factor in there. Then you have Black Mirror, which is a English show that's over on that's in Netflix. And then you have Secret Invasion. You have The Bear. What else is interesting, in the number 9 spot is actually Ahsoka. So what's pretty rad about all of this, and I think that
talk to me, tell me about it. I'm so excited.
I think if you're Disney right now, you're going, let the people on the internet be mad about whatever they want to be mad about. But at the end of the day, we have technically between Secret Invasion, Loki, Ahsoka, and The Mandalorian, we have 4 shows in the top 10 that people are watching, no matter how much the internet feels it's opinionated about quality, whatever. People are watching the shows, and sometimes that's actually what it's all about, to keep the fandom refreshed and keep the fandom going, to produce and consume more content. So I think this is a great thing. This is awesome. I think season 3, people can have their opinions about what season 3 was or how it ended. But personally, if you're Bob Iger right now and you're looking at information, you're going, okay, what are our next steps here? I think they pretty much figured they already knew this, and that's why Filoni is where Filoni is. So this is pretty tactical.
And I don't know how many episodes back it was that this like really came up, and we went kind of in depth and talked about this. The nerds have won. We've won.
Yep.
There are more of us. There are. And this is proof. Look at that. Look at those numbers. Look at those shows and the content that they are based on. I mean, it's like, I don't know what to say. It's really like the nerds have won, dude. I mean, for the top 10 shows on all streaming services to have that many shows based on science fiction and superheroes, it's just proof. It's proof of how loved this type of content is and has been for generations. This isn't a new thing. This is comic book and magic card playing Star Wars fan kids who are grown up and still in love with this content. And that's how these numbers are being posted. And it's amazing.
I mean, it's 2/3 of the top 10. The Mandalorian, Loki, Black Mirror, Secret Invasion, Ahsoka, and The Witcher. This is all nerd category stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Granted, Black Mirror touches on a lot of other stuff. It's not like hard sci-fi, but it's all, it's got dystopian near future vibes to it. So it's not, mainstream in the way that some other things are. So yeah, it's the vast majority of the top 10. And then you go on number 11 is Gen V. The Boys spinoff.
Yep.
We've got Silo in number 15, which is amazing, by the way, on Apple TV Plus. Invincible.
Yep.
On Amazon, a cartoon. Some of these others, I don't know them specifically. The Night Agent, I feel like that is there's some nerd tones to that, right? I don't know exactly what it's about.
Shrink. You have Shrinking, which I thought was an amazing show. That was an awesome show. That was kind of a lighthearted family comedy. But everything else, you have a lot of drama in here too, which I think is interesting. This is kind of like what people are into right now. You've got, between Shrinking and Ted Lasso, those are probably at least the most like lighthearted shows that are on here. But I think what people are seeing in this regard is like people want, the long form storytelling. is certainly here. You on Netflix, I didn't watch that, but I think is that a continuation? That's like a multiple season thing?
Yeah, they're on season 3 or 4 or something.
Okay, so you have The Witcher, which is on multiple seasons. You have The Bear, which is sitting at the number 8 spot, which is on its 2nd season. So like, it's interesting that you say that, Ryan, about attention spans, because all of these shows are multiple. I was just going to say
this gives me hope, dude, because I'm not sure what shows I would use it as an example and sound super judgy. Like if you watch this show, because I would sound that way if I said it. But this content gives me hope, man, that people are the majority of people still are seeking meaningful, well-made, well-written content. Because even if you sift through this and you're not just looking at, the sci-fi stuff that we love, Ted Lasso and Only Murders in the Building and The Bear being in the top 10, those are groundbreaking, award-winning original shows. And so people are not whereas so often, because the internet has this megaphone for low quality comments and content, that we feel like that's winning. We feel that the lowest common denominator is dumbing down art and content, but this is proof that it's not, and it's really inspiring.
Right, for sure. One thing to note, though, just to clarify, if anyone's missing this is U.S. only data, so who knows what's going on in the rest of the world, because the Netflix data, there were some discrepancies, but no one can really see the full data set.
This also doesn't include reality TV. Right. I don't want to know.
But it is most watched original series for streamers. So this wouldn't include anything on cable or over-the-air network shows that are also streamed, available. So if there's if there's
this is going to be like Yellowstone or something like that, is not going to be on this list.
Exactly.
Right.
But still, if the streamers are looking at what they can do, what the potential is, they're seeing something like The Mandalorian and going, okay, maybe this doesn't work to put it on, on Meemaw's cable package, but it's going to crush for the kids.
Even though
I don't think my Meemaw even had cable.
Well, even though
rest your soul.
The Mandalorian just also came out with steelbooks too. So I mean, they're trying to get the Mandalorian verse out there for sure. And I think it just goes to show that like the appetite for Mando and those stories, people either want Grogu, Baby Yoda, or they want our favorite silver helmeted whatever the
gunslinger.
Well, I mean, we call it the gunslinger. Our stream chat calls it like daddy or whatever they're into right now. So we got to go with the kids, right? And they're all just as old as us. But so I think this is really encouraging, in my opinion, looking at it, especially with people's opinions of course, because we're in a lull right now for new content, which we're getting to in our next point. Everyone's sitting here being like, what is Star Wars going to do? Like, what are we going to do? Right. What is Star Wars doing? I'm like, I think they know what they're doing. Hey,
they're good. I think the bigger headline here is Ahsoka at number 9. Gonna be honest.
Yeah. I agree.
And Mando number 1 is actually surprising. It is. Sure. Mando being number 1, it surprises me. I wouldn't have expected it. So that is a huge headline. But I think that for all the reasons we've discussed about Ahsoka needing all the backstory and them just jumping right in with all these characters, and I listened to our episode last week. Great pod, by the way, Adam. You're great at it. You're really good. I was listening to that, and we were talking about Ezra and how, Ezra, there's no backstory episode for Ezra. It doesn't go all the way back into how he became how he was found and his journey and how he ended up where he was and all. Like, we talked about how what a bold choice that was for them to make this show and make it in the style and commitment in the style and with the commitment that they made it. And so I think having that show in the top 10 of all streamers is a big deal.
Especially considering you think about Mando season 3, you assume some not so insignificant percentage of the viewers went back and rewatched after they got all hyped on season 3, but Ahsoka only had the one season. So that's
and the metric has to go across the entire season to place that high. It's not like just the first episode when everyone was all hyped and then we're like, I don't know these characters, I'm not going to watch it anymore. Yeah. It was the quality of that first episode was so high that it kept people engaged, and they want to to answer our question: are people going back to find out who these characters are now? Are they interested in Rebels? Are they? I think, and maybe not everyone, but a lot of people are, based on this result, because to keep watching the show all the way to the end, who is Thrawn? What is all that? People don't know, but they're still watching it in numbers great enough to place it in the top 10. I think it's a really big deal. And
I agree.
So promising for what we're going to talk about next. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. Hey, shout out to the homie Mike Cronin for the super chat. And Mike, 30 Seconds to Mars. 30 Seconds to Mars is the name of a band. It's not a fact. He said, "Can't wait to hear Mos Eisley."
Not yet.
Can't wait for Mos Eisley. Happy New Year. Shout out to anyone who got the pop star quote. Okay, so second little news bit. It wasn't huge, but upcoming director of the new Rey film, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, was on. It was the CNN New Year's Eve thing. They brought, she was on for like a New Year's interview, and they talked briefly about the upcoming Rey film, and then talked about her work with. It's like a Pakistani young filmmakers program to like fund young female filmmakers in Pakistan and all this great stuff. But so she talked very briefly about the Rey film at the top and said, just a little bit, I'm very thrilled about the project because I feel we're about to create something very special. We're in 2024 now, and it's about time we had a woman come forward to shape a story in a galaxy far, far away. So
you know what this quote made me think? As you all know, listeners of the pod and my friends here on the pod, I'm a huge fan of Stephen Knight. Peaky Blinders could possibly be my favorite. Could be my favorite non-Star Wars content of all time. I really think it might be.
Dude,
bold claim. That's a bold claim.
I got bad news for you that I'll tell you.
Is he out?
No. Bad news for maybe our friendship. I'll tell you after the show.
Oh, I wouldn't expect you to like love it the way I love it, though. I don't. If that's the bad news, I don't know.
It's a weird thing. I'll tell you after.
Okay. Well, either way, I've been singing the guy's praises from the start, and how excited I am that a gritty, dramatic writer, that his stuff is so based in realism and just boots on the ground. Just the way his characters are so grounded and so real. I'm really excited for him, as you all know, to be a part of this project. But I started thinking when I read that quote, when she said, it's about time we had a woman, a female lead, or whatever the quote is, changing the story or writing the story.
Sure.
And I thought about Helen McCrory's character in Peaky Blinders. She plays Aunt Polly, and she is in the show. She's sort of the matriarch of the family, right? And so she's got these young men under her that are running the family business of crime and betting and murder and heroin and all the cool stuff in the show. Heroin's not cool, but the show is cool. But without her, spoiler alert, without her, things really begin to come apart. He wrote her in such a beautiful, strong, incredible way, but also wrote her as this beautiful woman. He's just such a good writer, man. And when Polly was sort of on the show, like when she was discovering love again, she's I don't know, she's 50 something on the show, 40 something on the show, and she's alone later in life, and she's like, you get to see that side of her, but then you also get to see, a lot of what we're going to see with Rey, I would assume and think, this emboldened, passionate warrior, leader, female character. And I don't, when I read that quote today, that's just what I thought about. And Helen passed before the final season of Peaky Blinders. It's really tragic, but really beautiful send off they gave her on the show. But just a tribute to her. When I read that quote, that it was the first thing that came to my mind was her performance and the script that was written for her, the character that was created for her. Because what a performer and what a job she did on that show. But that's all to say that I can't imagine what this dude is going to do with a talent like Daisy Ridley. It's just going to be, as I've said all along, giving her the opportunity to step outside of sort of the more kind of, for lack of a better word, I don't think they mean this in a bad way, but like kind of campy OT dialogue that lived in the sequel trilogy as well. You know, the kind of like shooting jokes off about this or that in serious situations, letting her, what I think this film is going to be, play the role in a much more serious, much more dramatic way. It's going to be amazing, dude. She's got it in her.
Sharmeen also has her kind of roots in documentary filmmaking.
Yep.
So that seems like a really interesting, compelling combination, you know, a writer like that with like you said, the realism. So that's
why I think it's such a good fit.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be amazing. You know, she's a 2-time Oscar winner already. She's under the age of 40, I think, and has already won 2 Oscars. So
I thought you were, by the way, I did think you were, because you know me, I'm not scouring the internet to prepare for our podcast. I just show up and wing it. I thought you were about to be like, you didn't see the news, bro? He's not writing it anymore. I was like, no!
No, they got Michael Bay.
Ray Skywalker, a Michael Bay film.
So many.
Rey Skywalker's got low-rise jeans, and she's.
I mean, I will say that like a solid DL-44 double blaster shot from underneath with like a slow flyover of an X-wing.
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
Yeah, sure.
I'm here for that.
Sure. Right. Bad boys in space. You know, I think what's interesting about this, the other side of this, is of course like in how shitty our news is in terms of what people are relying on is always clicks. It's always like, what can we put in it as a salacious headline so that people will rage click? And, you know, she said this quote that means something to her, because like for her, this is actually a tremendously large deal for a feature film in Star Wars, which has never been done. And so of course, all the comments of all the people who who feel that their opinion is so important as they comment in the IGN.com section are like, oh wow, are we just completely forgetting about Deborah Chow and Bryce Dallas Howard? And you're like, at the time, it's not taking anything away from them, because they still have made some of my favorite episodes of Mandalorian, of Book of Boba Fett. Like they have absolutely crushed that project. But for a feature film, this actually is a historic first time. You do have Victoria Mahoney, that was the second unit director on Rise of Skywalker. So there's all kinds of technicalities that we can call out in regards to female representation and the director side of things in Star Wars. But this is a big deal. But of course, our news cycle is like, well, how can we project that, you know, she says a quote that she's obviously excited about for herself, to get as many rage clicks as we can on, toxic fanboys on the internet who want to come out and say like, whoa, she doesn't even know this. It's like, here we go. So I think a lot of this is frustrating, because it's over, at least in our side of things. People are trying to downplay the importance of this, but it's a humongous deal between how good the writing is going to be, between how excited Daisy is to be back in this character, and how important Rey is to the future of Star Wars. This is fantastic news, and I'm super excited actually that it's the first Star Wars project in the next slate to kick off for this year. I'm in. Let's go.
And as a reminder, I think we covered this at the time that she said it, but Daisy, number one, when she came up on stage at Celebration, didn't even find out about any of this until like a month and a half before or something. She and Kathleen Kennedy were the only ones who knew that she was coming up that day. And in regards to the script, she said she hadn't she hasn't read a draft yet, but she's read I guess the treatment, and she said it isn't at all what she expected, but it's really cool and it's really, really worth telling, worth exploring, and she thinks people are going to be stoked.
I'm saying, and she said it wasn't what she was expecting, because I want to be right. It's just like that Stephen Knight treatment. It's like this really heavy, really intense. She's used to playing Rey in the J.J. Abrams Star Wars Star Trek way. and she got this treatment that's on the ground in Birmingham, Peaky Blinders style, and it's like, whoa, this is gritty, this is real, this is gnarly. Right. I hope that's what she means by that.
Yeah.
And for Daisy to say that is, before we get to our next point, like for Daisy to say that is actually pretty exciting, because we're all assuming that it's her starting a new Jedi Academy. Like that's the natural thing of where we would leave things off, right? So for Daisy to say it's not at all what I expected, kind of like that.
Maybe it's not that.
I'm like that. I'm peaked. I'm in. Let's figure this out. So this is exciting in a lot of ways, and I'm incredibly, I'm thrilled that we have more Rey. I think we have an idea for a really great episode on that regard that I hope that we're able to do. But I'm excited for more Rey. Give me more Rey. Bust that yellow lightsaber out. Let's go.
Yeah, dude, and she's such a talent. That's what I'm saying. We haven't even seen. We've seen a lot of talent from her. That's, again, I don't want to discredit what she's already done, but I think you can see when she's performing in the sequel trilogy how much more is in there.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to see it.
She's brilliant. You know who else is stoked about Daisy Ridley and getting more Daisy Ridley? The hype, goosebumps just went everywhere on my whole body. The hype is through this drop ceiling, through the floor, through the roof. Here it is. John Williams.
Let him know.
In an interview with The Times, the UK newspaper publication, said, "I don't care much for grand pronunciamentos." I don't know that word.
Pronunciamentos?
Yeah. Don't know that word. It's the first time for me. Statements that are firm and finished and surrounded by closed doors. He's not into that. If I made one without putting it in context, then I withdraw it in regards to the idea that he's retiring, right? Or that he's been retired.
91 years old.
91. My favorite musician's 91. He said, if a film came along that I was greatly interested in, with a schedule that I could cope with, then I wouldn't want to rule anything out. Everything is possible. All is before us. Only our limitations are holding us back.
All is before us, the man said.
Or to put it more simply, I like to keep an open mind.
So he sat around.
Go ahead,
Mike. Sat around for 2 years and went, I'm bored. I'm ready to get back to work. And I'm sure Kathleen called and said, John, listen, we have more for you to do. And John was like,
but we're connecting the dots here because he's on record talking about how important it was in the sequel trilogy to be the only one who made music for Daisy Ridley and Rey.
Yes. Right.
He was like, I know it's late in the game for me because I'm 700 years old, but I am not going to let anyone else compose music, even based on the theme I wrote for the first one.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, okay, well, I wrote her theme and it's going to keep getting used. He was like, no, I'm not even going to let anyone reinterpret that theme into new motifs for the new movies, because that character means everything to me. And watching Daisy Ridley, who he references specifically about her performance, and watching her and meeting her and what an incredible talent she is,
right,
that inspired him enough to come back for Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. It has to be this movie.
So here's the quote. Here's the direct quote in the immediate wake of The Force Awakens. I don't want anyone else to write music for Rey. I would be very jealous, because if you've seen The Force Awakens, Daisy Ridley captured. She absolutely commanded the screen with Harrison Ford for 2 hours. A very gifted girl I became crazy about from the first frame of the film. And then the quote you mentioned about The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, leading up to that, this was him, playing coy, not letting it out, because there's been speculation about his retirement for the past 10 years, right?
Right.
He said, if I can do it, I certainly will. I told Kathleen Kennedy I'm happy to do it, but the real reason is I didn't want anybody else writing music for Daisy Ridley.
He didn't say Rey.
I mean, it's a fantastic theme. I mean, to be honest, like I'm excited for. I look at what Ludwig did, and I look at what Michael how do you pronounce his last name? Giacchino.
Giacchino sounds. I don't know. You're the half Italian.
Ryan, how do you pronounce Michael Giannacchio or Giacchino?
I don't know. One of those options are correct out of the 15 you guys just rattled off.
Yes. I mean, I love all of those. We have other composers that are part of the Star Wars universe now. I'm in for it. But like something about a John Williams score with that theme, like, I mean, we are lucky in so many ways. Protect this man at all costs. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
He's probably already scoring it as we're talking about this on this podcast. He has to be.
I hate to keep going back. I hate to keep going back to Peaky Blinders too, but if you've seen the show, Stephen Knight, as the creator of the show, the vision for the music on that show was, I mean, when you actually watch it, you're like, oh, it totally makes sense. But before that, I would say it's a little bit revolutionary because the story is set in post World War I Birmingham, England, and you're listening
it's all Nick Cave and Royal Blood.
Yes, you're listening to Nick Cave and the Black Keys and Royal Blood and all this like nasty bluesy trash rock and roll is the soundtrack to this. And so I can't overstate the level of my pumpedness of the way that Stephen Knight would envision John Williams' music in his script. Come on, dude.
It's man. It's one of those things where you see the lineup and you're like, this is going to be the best thing I've ever seen. And it's easy to let the hype get out of control. So I'm really trying not to do that. But man, it's taken every cell in my body fighting back against the urge to be more pumped about this than anything I can remember.
I like it.
Here's what's sick though. We're going to get the Filoni movie eventually.
Right.
And obviously Kiner and his adult kids are going to score that. I can't imagine anyone else doing it.
You think so? Nope, I like it. I think that's great. I like it.
It's gonna, of course, include Mando themes.
Sure.
So it's gonna be four composers, material done by one team of people.
Right.
But it's got to be Kevin Kiner, and his two offspring.
I like it. I'm here for it.
Give me a dark synth-wavy Blade Runner Dave Filoni movie. I'm ready.
Yeah. I think that's what we're gonna get. So this is fantastic news, and I think this is all just shaping up. It's getting that Star Wars hype train. I mean, all of this information is coming out and it's hitting our ears and it's hitting our eyes, all on purpose, in my opinion. It has to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's absolutely part of it. So
everything that we talked about in this episode was dropped within days of each other to get us to do exactly what we're doing right now and get everyone hyped, and it worked.
Right.
Sith Lady in the Discord chat, thank you for the Merriam-Webster definition with the phonetic spelling of pronunciamento.
Mentos. Yeah. Okay.
Pronunciamento. Mentos the fresh maker. A proclamation, a pronouncement.
Oh, there we go. You're so kind for you to do that.
And
then I think our last thing, Ryan, let's talk about this real quick. Have you been following with Star Wars Outlaws?
Not to the level of like knowing the characters' names, but when you texted the group today and talked about how it's basically Grand Theft Auto for Star Wars, yes, I have. I have read up enough to know that it is this massive open world. Finally get me to stop playing Call of Duty because we're all going to get on this game and hang out together in a cantina somewhere for the rest of our lives. And I can't wait.
Yep, that's correct. So it actually moved up its schedule. What's interesting about it is that people were curious. I think Ubisoft, who is known most for open world in the regards to open world, is known most for Assassin's Creed. So if you've ever played those games, they're kind of these big sprawling open worlds. You can travel to different parts of the map, and your character is an assassin that goes through time, blah blah blah. But they do non-playable characters, and they fill these cities with different people doing different jobs, and you kind of have to interact with basically a whole populace as your one controlled character. So now imagine that, but with Star Wars, and you're a scoundrel that's got to run a bunch of jobs, and the trailer is insane. The trailer shows her trying to escape, and a TIE fighters gets blasted, and an X-Wing flies by, and then a Republic cruiser looks like it's escaping, and then a Star Destroyer comes out of hyperspace and blows the Republic cruiser up. So like already, say less, as the kids say.
Yeah.
Say less.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
And
it's a female lead, so how mad are all the internet troll boys about that?
Yeah. Yep. So once again, it turns out that Star Wars doesn't really care about your shitty opinions, but it's gonna be amazing. And what's really cool about this is that everyone was expecting. There was actually a big install at San Diego Comic-Con this year where you could sit on the speeder bike, and it kind of showed you were basically supposed to ride through this almost like this dune. From wherever the planet is. And I think I can't say Mos Eisley without saying Mos Eisley anymore. It's ruined.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's branding. It's actually on point.
Yeah.
But I think you can actually go to Mos Eisley. You can go to a bunch of different places that are well known. And then you also, I think, Cantonica, which is where Canto Bight is. Yeah. Back me up on that.
I believe you.
Yes, I think we are actually going to be able to possibly go to Canto Bight, and Kijimi from Rise of Skywalker is in play for this game. So it's everyone's curious about when it was supposed to come out. Some people are saying end of 2023, and the safe bet would be end of 2024. And then IGN had to do, or Kotaku, whoever the blog was that posted this great article about it, they actually had to redact their information and not say late 2024. They actually said coming in 2024. So May the 4th drop, new video game for Star Wars.
In a kind of content
I don't know
year, that'd be great.
I don't know. So anyway, so that's super exciting, and I think that's going to kick off anytime we can take characters out of video games and put them into lore. I'm in, because they've been writing.
It is going to be more like, it's going to be like Assassin's Creed based on the developer. It won't be, as you said, sort of more GTA where we can actually like go into the game and like meet up.
Yeah.
Give me that Star Wars game.
I mean, I think in some regard, I think there is a massive, I think there's supposed to be an online part of it.
I mean, dude,
it would be foolish not to have that.
You guys, we're never going to, we're
going to be we're going to have.
Sorry, babe. I'm sorry, babe.
Yeah, we're going to have
we're never gonna
sores and acne from the VR goggles, and like, we're going to
be. Imagine just rolling into the cantina and seeing each other and just like grabbing a cocktail and with our blasters at our side. It's gonna be wild.
Yeah, it's gonna be the best. Last thing I want to talk about real quick before we go, because we got to go. Zach DeMaker said in the patron chat, he wants to know what we think of the Hello There Productions recreation of the Battle of Heroes from Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
In Clone Wars style animation. Ryan, did you watch it?
I haven't had time to watch it. I have a newborn. I'm sorry.
Right.
Okay, this is, I think, a one-person animation production. There's a big crew of folks who did like a bunch of audio stuff and some rendering and other stuff like that, and voiceover, of course. But it's a multi-year project that this one dude did to not only recreate the entire final battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan, ending with the high ground and so on, but a scene that seems to immediately follow, seems to be like after season 5 of the Clone Wars. So pre-7, anytime in there, Anakin and Obi-Wan talking about how letting Ahsoka go, basically, and Anakin carrying that guilt, letting her quit and not being there for her, not trusting her. I don't remember the exact dialogue, but it's got a little vignette of that, and then it goes straight to the if you're not with me, then you're my enemy. Mm-hmm. Only a Sith deals in absolutes,
right,
on Mustafar. And it plays out the whole thing, but it also adds a little bit of dialogue in some spots.
Yep.
And does certain shots differently, does certain combat moves differently, and it's damn amazing. It is incredible.
Is he getting hired, you think? I mean, that's why you spend years making something like that, is to get on the map, right?
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
And
I do too. I haven't even seen it yet, but I based on your reaction, I know that it's good.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
All right, I'll watch it.
And the lightsaber stuff is a little more it's a little I guess it's more like season 7 style. It's got the big tracer kind of bends to it, like I'm thinking I'm thinking Ahsoka versus Maul. Like, it was it's actually closest to that because I think there was some motion capture. I didn't watch the behind the scenes stuff, but this dude put in, he and his team,
months, years. Yeah. It's awesome. So go check that out before Lucasfilm probably comes and takes it themselves.
Hello There Productions is the name of the YouTube channel. Check it out. We'll maybe throw in the show notes. All right, dudes. I got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. Patrons, thanks for being with us. Thanks for the Mentos GIF, the blue guy 808 in there. The spot where this pauses, if you don't have this window selected, is it's a Photoshop opportunity. Everyone's seeing it.
It is.
Good times. Again, like and subscribe, rate and review, do all the things. Hit the subscribe button. If you're listening and you're not a big YouTube person still, please do us that favor because things are in progress, and we need the YouTube stuff to build to make that happen. Present tense.
Go see Story of the Year on tour. Starts on Friday
in
in Detroit. Adam, I'm reminding you are in a band. You guys have to make money by people coming to attend your shows. So maybe I'll see you in Detroit on Friday. That could be fun. And then also Mosh Isley is happening. Actually, we're basically a month away at this point, right? We are 1 month away from
4.5 weeks.
Mosh Isley weekend. So Ryan, how are you feeling? Are you going to be able to attend knowing
I'm coming? I have a new fit that it's going to, you, Mike Forrester, are going to be very pumped on. I'm there.
Nice.
How many lightsabers are you going to bring?
Probably 2, because I always end up dropping one and breaking it and having to mail it to Jason to fix for me.
Right.
I'll bring a backup. I'll bring him back.
So let's bring 4.
He currently has the one I brought to Mosh Isley in New York, and he's fixing it. So
sure. Okay.
You little jerk.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
All right. MoshIsley.com. The merch bundles, those are ending Friday the 5th.
Yep.
Friday the 5th, 6th. MoshIsley.com for those. And there's some merch there that will not be available at the actual event. So get the pre-sale bundle. You pick them up at the event, so it's simple. You don't have to worry about shipping, and it's good stuff. MoshIsley.com. Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, dudes. Thanks for being here. I love you guys.
Good luck on tour. I love you.
Thanks, bud. And until next time, may the Force be with you.